Thank you for coming to our talk on Lost Victoria. So I'm Heather Arnold, Local History Librarian here at Casey Gardenia Libraries, in case you don't know who I am. And perhaps if we could all mute our microphones apart from me. And yeah. So, and Tracy Howard, she's the librarian at Hampton Park. She is the technical expert on this talk. So I'll just go to that. Okie dokie. So what we're going to look at today, all these sites for information about local history. So I'm going to start with my blog because this is I
can't sort of join it.
Yeah.
Now, I think that's Anne. Can you mute your microphone, Anne? Because I could hear what you just said. Okay, and now I'm going to start with cascading links to our past. So this is a blog that I do for work, and I just love this blog. It's a look at the like post contact, the European history of the city of Casey, Shire of Cardinia, and I try to do a blog post every week. But it doesn't always work like that, and I try to do a blog post. If I do City of Casey one week, I do Shire Cardinia the next week. I just do lots of things. I've been doing it since 2007. And I've got over 350 posts, and I just love this blog. It's the best thing I've ever done in my work life. I don't know how many times I tell you how much I love this blog, but I just love it. So yesterday I put up a post on land sales in the town of Beaconsfield because I've come across this map on the
You're supposed to keep
Yeah.
I've come across, if you could all mute your mics, that'd be really good. Thank you. I come across this map at the State Library of Victoria on land sales in Beaconsfield from 1879. And of interest was not only the fact there was a land sale, was Charles Suter, who owned the Gippsland Hotel, the Central Hotel it's called now. But I saw found his signature. We'll just scroll down here. And that's his signature on the actual map. So not only is it an interesting map, but it's always good to see things like that as well, someone's signature of the man who did the map. So anyway, so that's why I did this blog post on that. And then my previous one was on St. Paul's Anglican Church in Clyde. And we have these photos here at the library of the church being demolished. If you know what Clyde's, this is in Berry Clyde Road. If you know what Clyde's like at the moment, you'd know that Berry Clyde Road has changed from being a small country town to part of the suburban Melbourne. So this is when, you know, it had its own church. This church is now Beacon Hills at Pakenham. So, but anyway, so that was a nice post. Oh, there's a postcard. I love this. These are postcards. You know, it's lockdown time. You spend all this time on eBay, and I bought these postcards of Upper Beaconsfield. I mean, so that's my posts on Upper Beaconsfield postcards. Oh. Anyway, so I won't go on and on about this, but anyway, so this is so. If you're looking for history about Casey or Cardinia, well then, even though it's my blog, I do recommend going to, because I have a lot of information on it. So, and I try to do something different every week. So that's my blog. Now, my mouse isn't working. So this is my war blog, which is just looking at the history of City Casey and Shire Cardinia during the war. I started off as a First World War blog, but now I've made it into a blog that looks at all wars and all conflicts. So I just write about. Well, of course, I love this because I'm a bit into. Peace Day was a gay day at Trove, I know that we don't use, we use that term differently now. But this was a headline in 1945, had Trove celebrated the end of the Second World War, which was 75 years ago, last Saturday. So, and I look at soldiers. This is a Beaconsfield Great War soldiers. So I just look at any aspect of our war. This is the Boer War, how looking at some of the soldiers in the area went to the Boer War. Anyway, so that's my or the library. I call it my blog. It's really the library's blog on how we commemorate the war. Now, I'm having trouble with my mouse, which is not working. Now I'll just close it down. Right. Now, this is a really great site, Victorian Places. I use this all the time. If you're looking for information about a town, so you've got your ancestors have been in. I'll close this down. Sorry. if your ancestors were in Mildura or somewhere and you want to know a bit of a history of the town, well, Victorian Places is the place to go. It is authoritative information. We'll look at Trafalgar. And it's done by the University of Monash and the University of Queensland. So, you know, you can look at Wikipedia, but I don't know, I have a bit of an issue with Wikipedia. I'm not really sure if it's always authoritative. Sometimes it is, you know, but I do like Victorian Places because it is authoritative information. And we'll just look at the Trafalgar site. So a very short history of the town, lots of photos. It always has a excerpt from the 1903 Australian Handbook, which describes what the town was like in 1903. It always has population figures. 2011 is the latest, the most recent ones. But it's just a really lovely authoritative site that gives you a quick overview of the history of a town. I just can't recommend it enough. It's just so good. Plus the fact it's such a great looking, like such a great site. I mean, just the graphics alone are just amazing. So you can search by the town, or you can search alphabetically, A to Z, and just go through and scroll through and choose a town or suburb that you want. It's just a wonderful site. So that is Victorian Places. Now I'll close this down. I'll close this down. Now, the next place we're looking at is Melbourne. So in, I think it was 2005, they brought out a printed copy of the Encyclopedia of Melbourne, and then they've since made it into this, or 2008 it was, into this website. And it says it's Melbourne, but there are country places that they mention, but it's a really good site for the suburbs. So if you're looking for the history of, I don't know, Elwood, we'll put Elwood in. And just a quick description of the town, or, you know, whatever significant events in the history of the town or the suburb. And then there's also a thematic look as well. So if you want to look at military and defence, it's an overview of military and defence, and then it has all these other, as you can see, you can hopefully see other options that you can choose to go to. If you want war memorials, we'll click on that. So once again, it's an authoritative site. You should expect that the information would be accurate, and it's just a really interesting site. Like, it has things like, I was looking at it yesterday on cycling. Bicycles, history of bicycles in Melbourne. Not that I'm a bike rider, but so just all those sort of bit quirky, but all those sort of just a whole range of things about Melbourne and the outer suburbs. And as I said, authoritative. So it's a great little site. That's Melbourne online. Now, Public Records Office of Victoria. I think I've spoken about that. I've done so many talks recently. I've done talks to staff members and talks to someone else. I'm thinking, have I done this talk before to you? But I don't think I have. So Public Records of Victoria, I've talked about that before, but that has lots of information, as we looked at a while ago. It has, for searching information about towns. So it has it has rate books and those sorts of building records, rate books, and early Melbourne Border Works plans. So probably really here the rate books and are the most sort of relevant things, I guess, for searching information about your towns. But the rate books on Public Records Office of Victoria, some of them are online through them, but others are now online through Ancestry. So it's a bit of a so it's all right. You can go there when they're open. You can go to the Public Records Office of Victoria and actually use their Ancestry there free, or of course if the library is open, you could use our Ancestry. But at the moment, if you want the records of some of the towns that the rate book records, you really need to go, you'll be able to access the Ancestry rate books. So, and they do this now because, you know, it costs so it's already having the rate books. So they digitise the rate books, but then of course they still need to be indexed. And this is why places like PROV do deals with Ancestry, because it means that Ancestry do with the indexing, and then they get to have them online exclusively for, you know, whatever, 4 years, 2 years, 1 year, whatever the deal is. So it's a bit, I mean, they are a public record. In some ways it's wrong that they've turned this over to a commercial organisation like Ancestry. But on the other hand, we wouldn't get access to it in such an easy way without them doing that. So I guess that's the reality of, you know, it costs money to maintain an archive, it costs money to index, it costs money to digitise, and the money has to come from somewhere. And I guess if Ancestry's have to throw money at the PROV, you can't really blame them for taking it. So, so rate books, actual rate books for, well, I'm on the topic for City of Casey, Shire-Cardinia, are at, we have them at the library, and they're on just on DVD. We haven't got them online yet. So that would be a nice little project one day when I'm, when down the track sometime. That would be a great project. But it is, I'll just show you what it looks like because I have Ancestry. So you can just browse the rate books. And you choose the city you want, and then you choose a year range, or you can just put a name in. So, you know, rate books are really interesting to see who like, especially if you want to trace the history of your house, or to see where your parents lived, or or your grandparents, great-grandparents, see what property they owned. And I just love using rate books, but you know, it's sort of a shame in some ways that, as I said, you have to go through Ancestry. So that's the sort of information, the rate books, the main information about researching sort of property that the Public Records Office has. Another, so we'll shut this down. Now, another great source of information for resourcing history of area is, of course, local history societies. So this is a Royal Historical Society of Victoria. That's their website, historyvictoria.org.au, and they have this database of affiliated societies. So if you're a local history group, you normally affiliate with the Royal Historical Society because you can get your insurance through them. So you get your public liability insurance through them, and you also get your building insurance if you own your own building. So we'll just look at Mildura. So the thing with a local history group is that they have a lot of information that you don't find anywhere else. They have a lot of information that is undigitized, not available on the internet. They have reams and reams of information about families and organisations in the area, and they might have old photos, they may have a museum. They have lots of stuff that you're not necessarily going to find on the internet. So if your ancestor does come from, you know, Petchewallach or Chillingolla or somewhere like that, it's always worth seeing if you can find a local history society and then just make contact with them. Of course, most of them are closed at the moment, like we are at Up, because, you know, COVID-19. But eventually we all reopen again. So that just tells you the basic information about the society, and if they've got an email address and a website. Does it go to website? And no, it doesn't. But anyway, if it had a website, you'd also get a link to that. So, and I can't stress enough, if you're trying to find the history of an area, about how useful historical societies can be. But you have to realise, of course, that historical societies are all run by volunteers, and you do sometimes get a patchy response. So some organisations are very tough, and they say, yes, I can find information for you. It's going to cost you $16 an hour. Send the money first. And some are more, oh yeah, it'd be nice if you give us a donation. Or some you may never hear from because, you know, whatever. They're all volunteers and they're thinking about something else that day. So, as I said, you do get a patchy response, but it is worth persevering, or making contact with them and going there once everything reopens. So that's the Royal Historical Society of Victoria also has other information. It has some digitised photos. It has a lot of, I'll just search that now, look for Collingwood. and see what I get. Okay, so they have their catalogue online. They've got books and that have photos, but they don't have as much online as I thought they might have had. But anyway, they're worth looking at too. You can join the Royal Historical Society of Victoria. It's about $70 a year, and they send you out their newsletter and everything. So they're worth looking at. Actually, I haven't mentioned while we're here that there's there's also the Paran Mechanics Institute, which has a extensive local history collection. I didn't actually put that on the list, but I should have. So the Paran Mechanics Institute is in Paran, as you might suppose, and they specialise in local history. So they will collect local histories from all over Victoria. So if you're looking for a specific book on your town or where your ancestors came from, the Paran Mechanics Institute's really worth having a look at. You can get their catalogues online, and you can join and you can borrow from them, or you can just use them as a reference library. So they, of course, they're closed at the moment as well. But once they reopen, it's really worth going to. So that's Paran. I'll add it to my list. Now, oh, my mouse doesn't work. I'll close this down. Now, there's a number of websites as well for historical society. So Emerald Museum, that's of course at Emerald. It's a great website, and they've got a great story about it's the Emerald Museum and the Nobelius Heritage Park, and that Nobelius Park was part of the Nobelius Nursery, started by Carl Nobelius in 1870 or something like that. And at one stage before the First World War, he was saying something like he had this massive mail order business and sent like trees all over the world. It was just an amazing thing to think. Anyway, so his story's on the website here. So it's a great little website, and it's where they've got lots of history on here. So that's worth looking at. Another example of a website is the Nepean Historical Society. So they're down in Sorrento, and they have a history pages. They have their newsletters online. So it is worth looking to see. Just Google the Historical Society for the area you're interested in, and you may find there's enough. They have some relevant information online, and they also, as I said, have their newsletter online. Just going through this one. Whoops, daisy, I've lost it. I was going to show you the Paran Historical, the Port Melbourne website as well, but the link is in the notes. There's also other blogs around, and this is my blog. I do a few blogs. This is my blog on Koorup Swamp. I grew up at Coralline here in the Koorup Swamp, born at Koorup, born and raised on the Koorup Swamp. So I've got this website on the Koorup Swamp and my family and anything I want to write about. So I love it. I think it's worth looking at, even if no one else does. But anyway, I do love this website. And in fact, can I just say, my Casey Gideon links to the past blog, I see that everywhere. And someone pointed out to me the other day, because I came across all my work put on another one's Facebook page, virtually without acknowledgement, which is one of the things you need to realise, of course, that if you do any work online, if you have blogs, if you do anything like that, a lot of it gets stolen and put somewhere else. And in the end, I used to worry about it, but now you just think you can't worry about it, because, especially photos I've put up on Casey Gardenia, I've seen them used in lots of other situations, including the Pakenham Gazette, and without any acknowledgement whatsoever. But you've just got to, you just got to go with it, because you just can't worry about these things. So I don't worry about it anymore. So that's one of my blogs. This is another great history blog, Wyndham. So this is Wyndham, of course, is the Werribee Hoppers Crossing, that area, and they have a really, really great blog, this Wyndham history one. And these are just examples of local blogs or that are just out there. So they're done by historical societies, done by libraries, done by historians. They're just worth looking at. You'll see photos, you'll see all these things with it. So. Okay, that. And this is Wiki Northia. So Wiki Northia is looking at the history of northern Melbourne. So anything from, Darebin, Preston, Epping, Whittlesea, all that northern area of Melbourne, and it's run by the libraries organise this, and because it's a wiki, you can actually put information up yourself. So if you have a story about your ancestors who lived in Coburg or lived in Epping, you can write a story and you can post it. They will, of course, make sure it's all up to proofread and everything, but people can post their own stories on it. So if this is a great little history site for people with if your ancestors came from the north of Melbourne. So and it's run by these libraries, Darebin, Moreland and Yarra Plenty. Yeah, it's a great little site. So that's Wiki Northia. Now, so that is, I was just say, that's the information. This is how to find information. Now we're really going to go into photos, but before we go and have where the sources of photos, I'll just quickly look at Trove, which I've talked about before. But Trove, if you've heard me talk about it, you would have. Because they do all the newspapers, you can find lots of information about families, about organisations, about towns, etc. in virtually any place all throughout Australia, because Trove has digitised newspapers from 1803 onwards, and it's just the most wonderful site. But I won't go on any more about it. But just don't forget to use Trove for information about families or places. And while we're on Trove, we'll look at their photos, because they do have photos as well. So I've just put in Berwick as a search, and then if you go to images, maps and artifacts, choose that option there. And then, so what Trove does is they're a aggregator, and they collect information, collect photos from all other organisations, such as State Library of Victoria, State Library of New South Wales, whatever, National Gallery. So they bring all those photos together, and they're really a one-stop shop. So this is, it is a great resource. You could just go to the State Library, which we'll look at in a minute, or else you can just go through Trove. But they do collect information. So the other thing about, I found a whole great series of photographs of Lord and Lady Casey in the State Library of New South Wales. I don't know why they were there, probably because he'd been Governor General. But you don't know, sometimes you find photos in other states that you wouldn't expect in other state libraries. So this is Trove, and then once you're there, you can then click on the image and go straight there. The other thing that Trove does is that Trove has a Flickr group. So it's called, so Flickr is let's go there, Flickr group. Flickr is a photo sharing site, and then there is a Trove group on Flickr, which means if you want to put your own photos up on Flickr, and so they're indexed by Trove, you join the Trove Flickr group, add your photos, and then you can find them through Trove. You forget what I mean? Sounds a bit complicated, but so Trove do have lots and lots of photos. So well worth looking at if you're looking for a photo of your area where your grandfather came from, or your grandmother came from, or something like that. Yeah. Anyway, so that is Trove and photos. Now, other photos, of course, I always go straight to the State Library of Victoria, because they have a huge range of photos. They've been collecting photos forever, and not only, so just that's State Library, just put a search term in, just put Cranbourne in, whatever. You can do it two ways. You can just do a general search, go to Cranbourne, and then you get a whole list of materials up. If you just choose online items, you can, of course, just choose photos and stuff, but I don't do it that way. I just do it this way. Choose pictures or maps, whatever. And there's all these photos, varying things. So this is, for some reason, a whole series of photos of headstones at the Cranbourne Cemetery. I'm not sure why they're there, but They are. So they're sort of interesting. But there's also this great photo. Oh, the great photo of the meteorites. That's a fantastic photo. This was taken 1862. So the thing with State Library Victoria, if they have photos going back to the 1850s or whenever photography started, like it just blows my mind. You see a photo of Melbourne in the 1860s, or you see this photo here of the actual meteorite being at Cranbourne being dug up. So the meteorites were all found in this area from the 1860s, and the most recent one was found, I think, about 15 years ago in Clyde, and that most recent one is currently at the Casey Ray swimming pool at Cranbourne near the library, but they're just an amazing photo. I just think 1862. That's 100 many years ago, 60 years ago, 170. My maths has failed me, but you know, they're just amazing photos. And not only that, but the State Library is very generous because they just let you download as a small JPEG or as a TIFF, so 39.4 megabytes. So because once the photos are out of copyright, the State Library allows you to download them in as a large res photo or a very small photo. But some other organisations such as the National Library of Australia or National Archives, they only give you a small resolution, a low resolution copy, and then you have to buy a high resolution copy. So State Library is very generous. So I mean, 39.4 megabytes would be enough to give you a really nice print if you wanted to have that on your wall. And I'll just show you this photo, the High Street one, which I can't find. We'll go to Berwick. I'll show you Berwick. Anyway, they have lots of photos. I'll show you this Berwick one. When I find it, sorry. Should have been more prepared. I'm not. It's a great photo from 1877. Oh, if I go to pictures, it'll make sense. Oh, I should have said at the start, this is being recorded. A bit late now, isn't it? But we are recording this, so it will be put online. The last two talks are apparently online through somewhere. Where are they, Tracy? On the
Library at homepage.
Library at homepage, thank you.
Yep, yeah. Under local and family history.
Right, yeah. So all my rambling, or Jane's very good presentation last week, and then my ramblings about this are all online now. So this will be recorded. So this is a great photo. This is High Street Berwick. So let's see the Berwick Inn, as you can see, just when High Street Berwick only had one way up, and this was that's the old post office, but it's still there. That's St Andrew's Presbyterian Church up the top of the hill. 1877, this photo was taken. 1887. It's a classic photo, and it's astoundingly clear, which is what amazes me about the old photos, just how clear they are, how crisp and perfect they are. They're just amazing. So this is the State Library of Victoria. So worth looking. They've got heaps of photos, well worth looking at for any photos that you want. So I'll close all those down. And as I said, you can download them as well. Prov has got photos, not as many as, we'll look at Prov in a minute because I've got to open up there. But before we go to Prov, we'll look at Museums Victoria. So Museums Victoria have got a lot of photos. Museums Victoria in I think it was 1999, 20 years ago, they had the biggest family album project where people could sit in there, a good scan of their family photos. So what Museums Victoria then has is this great collection of photos of all different areas and people, and I'm not going to find anything. Okay, so I just put in Katani. Actually, yeah, nothing I should have put in. But I mean, so this is Lake Katani. This was what they the actual timber mill that milled the timber for the Mount Buffalo Chalet. Well, that's an amazing photo, I think, apart from the cows. It's just an amazing photo. So they've just got all these amazing photos, and they've got really things like, it's the other thing I want to show you. Photos of, so State Library has a lot more like official photos, if you get what I mean. But if you want something a bit quirkier, then it's really worth going to this museum's Victoria collection. So this here is the family, who is she? I've written about them. Oh, the Owen family. So Mr. Owen had a soldier settlement farm at Yanathan. It was really like Yellock, sort of south of Bales, and he had this soldier settlement farm. No, it wasn't a soldier settlement farm. It was a scheme to bring out British migrants for them to become farmers in Australia. So it was in between the two wars, and so all these photos of the Owen family at Yanathan are here on the museum's Victoria site, and they're just sort of a sweet sort of just the way they've captured farm life. And they were at Yanathan, but they could have been anywhere because, you know, most farms were sort of similar. Family farms have always been sort of similar sort of things where the children do have to do all the work and milk the cows, and, you know, they're just really, really lovely photos. And they're on, and that's the sort of thing you get through this biggest family album photos, all these sort of quirky photos of young children. This is a lovely one. This is Mrs. Owen. They're having their Sunday school lesson, so they're reading their prayer book. So, I mean, that's the sort of photo you get here on Museums Victoria, but you won't get on the State Library Victoria. They're just really sweet photos. The other thing Museums Victoria has is this great collection of Gary. It's a professional photographer. I'm trying to find one of his. Oh, this here. So this is Laurie Richards. He was a professional photographer, and he did a lot of commercial photos. You might remember this building on the corner of Swanston Street and Graddon Street, I think it is. Elizabeth and Graddon Street. It's now a motel, or was a motel. But there's a lot of photos. There's Laurie Richards, 85,000 negatives. So there are a whole range of photo of showing like just commercial things like petrol stations and motels and buildings and all those sorts of things from Melbourne from the 1950s. And that's all on the Museums Victoria website. They have a whole range of photos. So as I said, well worth looking at. Now, National Archives, we went through the National Archives. They do have photos, especially photos of things related to the federal government. So photos of post offices and, you know, the Postmaster General's Department and other sort of, you know, things connected to the government, which I can't think. Oh, there's photos of the old wireless station at Lyndhurst. So National Archives do have a range of photos, but we won't look through them now because, as always, I'm running out of time. We'll go to Flickr though. So Flickr has various. So Flickr, as I said, is a photo sharing site. So Trove have their own group, but also there are people on Flickr like this Graham Butler who's an historian, and he did the original Shire Berwick conservation study in 1996. He did the City of Melbourne conservation study in earlier than that, 1980 or something like that. So he's got all his photos up. So some of the photos he's taken over the years for his professional work, like City of Whittlesea Heritage, and he did the Mornington Shire Heritage Study. So they're sort of like, even though this is City of Northcote 1991, but that's still like 30 years ago. And if you imagine how much things have changed in those times. So there are sort of groups like that. This is Mornington Peninsula Heritage. There's 2,000 photos of what it would have looked like, 30 years ago. And if you consider how much this area has changed in the last 30 years, well, you'd know that some of these other areas have changed quite a lot. So there's I follow him on Flickr, but there's, various sort of other photographers who post-historic photos. So Flickr is worth a look, even though it's a bit like the Wild West. It's a bit unorganised. I feel that I like things a bit more organised than Flickr. But anyway, Flickr's worth looking at. YouTube also, you can look at YouTube. They have, sometimes you come across a classic historic video of a town you're interested in. So, you know, it's worth persevering through all the cats and the pop stars and all the rest of it. Sometimes on sometimes on YouTube, you might just see an old video of the town or the area that you're interested in. So they're worth looking at. Facebook, of course, close these things down. Now, Facebook, this is my Facebook. We'll look at so I do case getting their heritage. So this is, try to put a photo every day. It's maybe 5 times a week of City of Casey, Shire of Cardinia. I just put this one up this morning of and where's the photo gone? Well, I had lots of likes. Pity didn't get it. There we are. So that is Lawson Poole's garage. He's on the corner of Sladen Street and High Street in Cranbourne, or was on the corner. 1919, he built the garage. So I try to put up an interesting photo every day from, you know, and I alternate, like the blog, I try to alternate between City of Casey, Shire of Cardinia, but then in my mind, I also have to alternate between the old Shire of Berwick, Shire of Cranbourne, Shire of Pakenham, you see? So I've got all these municipal things in my mind. But anyway, so that was this one. Yesterday I put up, that's Harkaway, that's in the State Library of Victoria. That's a lovely photo. Oh, this one here, that's another State Library Victoria photo. That's the Bonnyview Estate in Emerald. 12 splendid blocks. Oh, that's really good. And this is from the Curiop Sun. Cranbourne House and Land package for $31,500. It was from 1980, 40 years ago. Hard to believe you could buy a 3-bedroom house in Cranbourne for $31,500 with a hostess kitchen. So they're the sort of things I'll put up. So if you're looking for photos of the area, it's Cranbourne State School, 1890s. That's the old Shire offices in Pakenham. So if you are looking for photos of the Casey Cardinia region, the Casey Cardinia Heritage Facebook page is worth a look. And I'm going to go to Lost Melbourne. So I also do, me and a team of others do Lost Melbourne. If you haven't seen that, we try to put a photograph up every day of Lost Melbourne. This is a great site. Oh, I put this up yesterday. Yeah, hang on. Sorry, my internet's really slow. So this is these dolls made right here in Melbourne by Mr. L.J. Stern, but they just look a bit creepy to me. I just sort of feel as though they're going to come alive in the middle of the night and stab you. But anyway, so we just put up photos every couple of days. This is the the 5th house built in Clayton of Lost Melbourne. So anything connected to this Melbourne. So we've got this site, and there's a Lost Country Victoria site, and there's, oh, this is cool. This was the, I'll put this up. This was the a model. So McRobinson High School was built by donations from McRobinson Fersen of McRobinson's chocolate fame. He made his money in chocolate. He gave money to build the girls' high school in Albert Park. And this was his, this is a model of the school made out of sugar at the chocolate factory. So hard to believe you'd actually go to all that trouble to make a model of your school out of sugar, but they did. So anyway, so we put up a whole range of photos on Lost Melbourne. There's also other Facebook sites such as, I mean, we've got one for Curiop Swamp, Lost Country Victoria. There's hundreds and hundreds of historical societies who have Facebook pages, and they post photos quite regularly. So some of them watermark them, some of them don't. You know, whatever you're interested in, there's always a Facebook page for it. So if you're looking for photos of, the actual Gippsland history is a really good one too. So I've got interest in Gippsland. So this is run by Linda Barraclough and 2 other people, and they put photos up, and they're very strict with who joins. They're very strict with where the photos come from. They're very strict with the comments. So you won't, they sort of really monitor this site really well. But there's a lot of interesting photos that people put up on this one here, Gippsland History. So if you're not into Facebook, it is worth looking at just to see. Or joining up, I think, just because there's so many different Facebook pages you can look at. Now, I've got here, I don't know if you're into, look, what am I doing now? Okay. I'll just quickly look at, I told you, we've gone through South Library Victoria, but if you're into trains, which I have to say I'm a bit into trains, this Western Langford railway site, now you don't have to be a train nut to like it. What's really good about this site is that it has photographs. He's taken photos from 1960s onwards of trains and trams, but what you'll see in here are photos like, I'm sure it's the Sunbury Railway Station, of which I can't find it now, of course. Having said that, let's go look through another one. Okay, so this is like Melbourne, Burke Road Terminus, East Melbourne. If you grew up in East Melbourne, for instance, you might think this is a really great photo. So this is East Melbourne in 1962, and this is Western Langford's photo. And he took it, of course, because he's interested in trams and trains, but there's also, you often find streetscapes like this. So this is a really good, it's sort of interesting if you want to know what an area was like even 50 years ago, how much a town like a suburb like Melbourne's changed. Look, sometimes these websites for like trains or other special interest groups, you might think, well, there'd be nothing in it for me, I'm not into trains. But if you can see a streetscape like this, I think that's really, it's really interesting to see how things have changed through all those years. So, and most of them are sort of, it's going to load, yeah. So how cute's that? Like, I can just imagine if you grew up in Melbourne, you think, oh, I remember this, I remember that, Anyway, so I love this. So I there's a great photo of Footscray, anything with any part of the tram network, if you had ancestors who grew up there, even photos from 50 years ago are so interesting now because things have changed so much. Right, now, you won't go through, we're going to look at maps now. Oh, that's why I had, so you can get maps. We'll go back to South Library Victoria. So South Library Victoria have parish plans and township plans. They also have other maps as well, like you saw that one I showed on my blog of the map of the subdivision of Beaconsfield. They have plans like that, but what they do is a parish plan. I'll go to maps. A parish plan is a plan of the first landowners after the Crown. So if you've seen we'll just find an example to talk to. Go online. So this is just the example they have of Berwick. So they have various maps, like council maps, but they also have these maps here of, okay, this is an 1850 Berwick map. Hopefully that's loading. Oh, it's a very early one. So what it tells you is the allotment number and who owned them. Well, Robert Gardner, Robert Allen, same people, Clarks. So they're the very early ones, and then there's later ones as well after the land has been subdivided again. So, you know, they would tell you who owned the land initially after the first land sale. So the first land sales in this area took place sort of in the 1850s. So there's the maps are really interesting in the sense that you can find out who are the original landowners in the area. So they have those maps. They also have, as you can see, we'll just scroll through a whole range of other maps. Well, this is Berwick in 1974, and you can imagine how that is many years ago now. How many years ago is it? 50 years? 50? 40? 50? Oh, I should know, shouldn't I? I didn't do very well in maths at school. Anyway, so that's Berwick 1974. So you can just imagine what Berwick 2002 looks like compared to Berwick. Oh, that's Narre Warren, and that is and that's Berwick. So they have a whole range of maps. So if you're looking for a map of an old area, State Library Victoria is one of the first places I would look at. And then oh, sorry, my mouse keeps stopping. Public Records Office Victoria, they also have plans. They also have parish plans. I put the series number, which is 16171. So if you're looking into an advanced search, this would be the way I would look for a map on Public Records Office Victoria. And hopefully it won't be real long. And then go to search within a series. And the series number is 16171. So it means you're looking for, and that is a parish plan series. If you're looking for a map of Berwick, if you put that in, it sort of would make it a little bit easier to find it. Go to search. And they're the same, and they have these maps here, which you can download. So they're digital items, you can download them. They have the same sort of maps they have at the State Library Victoria, but they have different maps as well. So if you're looking for a parish plan or any sort of map, Public Records Office plus the State Library Victoria would be the first places I'll look at. The University of Melbourne also has maps. They have extensive maps. They've digitised the Melways from, we'll go to, so they've digitised all the Melways up to the first 10 of them, or first 24 perhaps. Oh, the other thing the State Library do, State Library also has, oh, I'll show you that in a minute. State Library also has street directories as well. Hang on, I'll get rid of that. So University of Melbourne, they have the Melways digitised. They also have lots of other maps. They've got oodles and oodles of maps. Well worth looking at them. Oh, so they have the they also have the Border Works maps, which is what the State Library has. Oh, I can't believe I forgot that. So anyway, so this is the Melbourne University digitised collection. Well worth looking at for all sorts of maps. Just put you know, go to their maps. I gave you the link, and then just have a look at what they've got. They've got an amazing collection, and we'll go to the Melway. Where's Melway? Oh, sorry, I thought I had that link up, but I didn't. 1966, that's it. The Melway Publishing Company have actually had their first Melway online as well. I love Melways. I have a collection at home. I bought Melway reproduced the first one and sold it. I bought their first, like a new version of it, and also my earliest one I've got is edition 6, which I think is 1973, which is the first Melway that my oh, I've lost it. Anyway, I've given you the link to the Melway, and it is the first one. So and they're just wonderful because they're just
Go back. Go click back on your
back.
browser.
Thank you.
And go down that one.
There, thank you.
There.
So I told you Tracy was my technical person. Yeah. Anyway, so this is the Melway. I didn't even go past. Didn't go to Berwick, didn't go to Cranbourne. It's just the most, I just love it. I just love it. I just love the way Melbourne's changed. I love to see the I love maps. I love the way to see how we how things have changed and how the area's grown. I don't quite love all the suburban out here. It just sort of annoys me a bit seeing farms made into housing estates, but that's beside the point. You know, that's progress. So but they're just such a wonderful resource, old maps, and street directories are just I don't know, I just love it. Just to see where schools used to be and churches and post offices and everything. They just tell you so much, maps. And anyway, so I love the Melway. So that's, I'll be giving you the link to the Melway. And actually the State Library Victoria, which we'll go back to because I forgot to tell you that they also have old street directories. If you go to Search and Discover, Popular Digitised Collections. Sorry, I should have put that in my notes. And they have the old Melbourne street directories there from 1912 onwards. So they're just another great source of information. Yeah. And while we're here at the State Library Victoria, they also have Sands and McDougall street directories. I think I talked about this in my family history talk, did I? I talked about this? I'll talk about it now. Anyway, so this is Sands and McDougall's, they're post office directories. So they tell you who lived where, and they're just the most amazing thing. So everything is amazing to me, but this is so amazing. So they have an alphabetical list of people and then tells you where they live. And they also have a list of commercial things. So if you want to know how many plumbers were in Melbourne in 1875, well, Sands and McDougall directories are the place to go. And then we'll look at just randomly here. And this tells you that, you know, you can see the list here. James Brown, 34 Sandridge Road, Emerald Hill. Like, it's just a whole list of people. It's
hasn't come up on the screen yet.
Resource. So if you're, it hasn't come up on the screen yet. Okay, sorry.
No. Still got Sands and McDougall.
Oh, hopefully it will. What's come up on the screen?
We've still got all the Sands and McDougall.
I might just, right, anyway. So you'll have to take my word for it, soon it hasn't come up on the screen, that you can actually, that there is a great little listing. I might just send you the link to this at the State Library. Oh, I know, because I opened a new window. Anyway, take my word
open a
for
new
it.
tab.
Sands McDougall, open a new tab. Thank you.
5-minute warning too.
5-minute warning. You think really, seriously, would know this by now, but again, I don't. Alphabetical listing, alphabetical directory. This is what I was raving on about before. Now, can you see that, Tracy?
Yep.
Can you see? Oh, yeah. Okay. So this is the alphabetical listing, and you might find, here we go. So this is Mrs. Brown and the name, the addresses. Like, it's just the most amazing resource. And then they have Trade and Professional Directory, and they also have another, this one. Oh, this is cool. So they go through street by street. Oh, can we see this?
It's coming up. There
Fitzroy?
we go.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yep. Okay, yeah. So it goes through, so this is Fitzroy, Princess Street, and it tells you who lived in Princess Street, between Nicholson Street and Regent Street. You can see all that. It's just the most, so it just goes through street by street in every suburb, which of course weren't many suburbs in 1875, and who lived there. So if you're trying, once again, you're trying to trace where your ancestors lived, or you're trying to trace the history of the house, or find out when your grandma moved there or something, a post office directory at the State Library Victoria are worth looking at. They're just the most amazing thing. So State Library Victoria has this like huge collection of everything. So just have a look at their have a look at their, just explore them. Like they've just got so much stuff. Yeah. Photos, information, everything, well worth looking at. Okay, that is my very quick cook's tour of family history resources. Are there any questions? Tracy, was there any questions coming?
None in chat. So do we want to let people unmute and ask questions if they've got any?
Yeah. So if you have any questions, just unmute and ask the question, or just send an email. I've sent you an email. I sent you the email today with the list of resources, so you can email me back sometime, or just put it into chat now if you wanted. But all these, everything I've shown you today is they're free. They're free to use. You can use them from home. You don't need to be in the library. So apart from the whole ancestry rate books thing, basically they're all free. So just have a look at them at home and explore them. They're just the most amazing things.
Oh, the
other thing is,
I'm going to have a good look at Flickr.
Flickr, yeah. Australia Library has is, if you're into football, they have the footy record from 1912 onwards. So if you're a keen football fan for the AFL, VFL, you can look at all the digitised copies of the footy record as well. So, yeah. Other than that, next week we have Jane Rivet-Karnak from the Family History Group talking about immigration records. So she'll be really, really good. And then the week after that, I think I'm talking about my past. So can I also tell you that on a Tuesday now at 11 o'clock, every Tuesday, 11 o'clock, you'll see we're having a Zoom session with me and some of the women from Emerald Library, and just on family history. So you just log in, talk about what you want, ask questions, tell us things, whatever you want to do, you can do that. So it's every Tuesday, 11 o'clock, it's a Zoom session. If you go through our events page and just book, and then we'll send you the link. So it's just every Tuesday, and just talk about what you want or what your brick walls are or whatever. That'd be fine. So we'd love to see you at that as well. Other than that, it's 11:59 and we've finished on time. Well done. So thank you very much for listening. Hope to see you here next week for Jane's talk, and hope you find something of interest today, and have a look at the list I gave you. Thank you.